Middenheim, how exciting. So many new things to sample and try. Foods, people, experiences. This festival is something else, and now I have the lovely Erica by my side, with Kruger and Heinrich as well. I'm not going to comment on which one smells worse. When I consider how close to the brink I've become, I really must give myself some pause. Not your pause, Erica. I feel like my companions, my beautiful dog, are like crampons keeping me on the side of a mountain. Everything else could blow me away, everything else could consume me. But as long as I have my friends with me, I think I can hang on. I think I can keep going, and if I can keep going, I can keep fighting these incessant assassins, the Imperial manipulators, and everything else that would ruin our world. My world are my friends, my loved ones. And if it means burning the rest of the world to keep them safe, then that is what I will do. And Middenheim may be the place that the fire starts. We shall have to see. This is Red Moon Roleplaying.
It is the second day of the Great Carnival currently happening in the city of Middenheim. Our three heroes are well rested. They had a very enjoyable meal at the Man of War, one of Middenheim's finest nautical-based restaurants, and then had quite a nice night after that. It does mean you've all woken up a little later than you were planning, but at least you've had a good rest. However, Kruger, you be aware that you don't have much time to enjoy your breakfast. You need to be places. Whatever you do for the rest of the day, the first thing you're doing has already been decided. You need to go back to the Regent's house and meet a dwarf about a document. All three of you. As you make your way back through the streets that are once again full with traffic due to the festival, it does take some time, and it's already midday by the time you arrive once again outside the Regent's house. What are all three of you doing? Siegfrieda, your first time in the Ostwald district. It seems here the buildings are shabby, but someone keeps them clean, and there's even some commerce going on here, but it is quieter, and again, while the beggars are not in the alleyways watching you, you can definitely feel eyes upon you in the buildings. What do you make of this part of the city?
Well, it's clearly a rough area, but I have Erica, my dog, by my side. I feel safe. I also have my two companions, and, they always help as well. But I've been worse places. After you spent some time in Wittgendorf, as we have, and, some of the rougher parts of Altdorf too, it prepares you for the slums and the places where thieves are likely to dwell.
And as you're waiting outside this establishment, you see a familiar face once again, Kruger. Your friend Bjorn. He's the first one to greet you. Oh, Kruger. Hello, friend. And who's your friend? Hello, madam. I'm Bjorn. This young man with red hair looks at you very, very shyly, Siegfrieda.
Oh, these are my friends, Siegfrieda and Heinrich. This is Bjorn.
And this is Erica.
Oh, what a good dog! Hello, good doggy! And Erica seems to like this young man and begins licking at him. Oh, so you're here? Are you sure about this, Kruger? You're going to deal with the man? People don't meet the man, and when they do, well, a lot of them don't come back again.
No, you're right. We'll have to be very careful with our words and not upset anyone, but yes, unfortunately it is going to be necessary.
Indeed it is, friends, indeed it is, says Alfric Halfnose, coming out himself, flanked by 4 toughs. Alfric Halfnose, again a dwarf with a bit of grey in his beard, and a very distinctive feature being that he is missing a nose, and instead has 2 rather unpleasant red holes where his nose should be. Yes, as Bjorn's saying, it's all been organised, but I'm a good man. Last chance. You can walk away and the deal's off and no one's going to be angry at anyone, but if you really want to go through with it, well, you sure?
Oh, yeah. Never been more sure about anything, really. We definitely need to do this, so...
Good, all right then. Well, these gentlemen will be taking your weapons, and, who do you want to leave that lovely little dog with?
Well, the dog is my companion.
Good, and they're not coming.
Bjorn can take the dog, right?
Oh, yeah, I could do that. The dwarf nods. Yes. Sorry, miss. That dog is a weapon, I can tell. No weapons. Again, that's not a threat. Like, if you want to walk away, you can walk away, but I'm just saying that's why I asked, are you sure you're going a route with no weapons and blindfolds?
I will think it over for a second, and I will say to Bjorn, take very good care of her. I've spent all night counting the hairs on her head and everywhere else because I absolutely adore this new dog of mine. And if any of them are missing when I come back...
No. Oh, I like dogs. And besides, you don't want to go in smelly tunnels, do you? No. She doesn't want to go down there. No. I'll look after her, Alfric. Yes, I know you will, boys. Bjorn's a good boy. So go on then. Weapons to my friends here, and let's just go down this way. He gestures to an alley, and we'll get those blindfolds on you.
All right, lead the way.
This leads to a slightly comical moment as Heinrich has to disarm, because that is a lot of leather straps and holsters and ammo pouches, and it takes a little while.
Yes. And so all of you temporarily are disarmed of your guns, your crossbows, your knives, as these gentlemen don't ask any questions, they just take. And then they begin wrapping thick blindfolds around your eyes, and then a hood as well. As this is all happening, you hear in your ear Kruger, Half-Nose, say, "Right, well, either this is gonna go very well and I'll see you later, or, well, I won't see you ever again, but it's been a pleasure."
The same, Alfric. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Yes, just remember, don't lie. Yes? Don't
No
lie. They hate lying. And then all three of you begin to feel yourself being prodded quite roughly down. You must be going into some sort of sewer, because you're suddenly now feeling your hands on iron rungs going down. What do the three of you do? Do you cooperate?
Yeah, I don't see a way of resisting if we're heading down a ladder. It's a good place to get hurt if we don't do what we're told.
How are you feeling, Heinrich? This is all starting to feel a little dangerous.
Well, I can tell you I might not have my pistols, but Heinrich still has these guns, so he's not too terribly worried. This kind of crime smellier, but significantly less expensive. I think Heinrich is filing it away, and like there's different subtypes of crime that you can do, and some are stinky and some are pricey. And when has our good friend Heinrich ever shied away from an incredibly reckless adventure?
And so your journey begins. You begin being led along tunnels. You, Heinrich, have a good ear for these things. You can hear water. You can hear the sound of muffled footsteps. You definitely are underground. And then you go down some stairs, and then you take a left, and then a right, then a left. Then you think there's a door. You hear some keys. You're through the door. More stairs. Then all three of you find yourselves being turned around a couple of times on the spot, and then another left, and another right. This is quite a long journey. You think you've been walking maybe 30-40 minutes now. How are you feeling, Kruger? You must be going somewhere very deep. You think this can't just be sewers. You felt a few more steps and a few more doors. You did hear rumours that there is a whole undercity to Middenheim, built by the dwarves, tunnels that go deep, deep down.
Well, I'm of course worried about going into some kind of trap. That said, of course, I have no choice but to trust Alfric and the man. I mean, if they wanted to rob us, I think there would be easier ways to do it. But we won't have anything to defend ourselves with, and we'll be completely on their turf when we finally get there. So, yes, I'm tense and I'm concerned, but I figure at this point the only way to get through this without issue will be to just do what I'm told and to be as respectful as possible while doing that.
It makes sense to you. After all, this technically isn't new to you, Kruger. Yes, this isn't some thug or even a clerk. You think you might be dealing with quite a powerful individual, and clearly they've taken a lot of precaution to make sure that they don't just get stabbed in every meeting. You're somewhere where you don't know where you are, weaponless. Even if you did start trouble, well, you have no idea if you'd be able to get out of it. Finally, all three of you notice a change in the light. Someone's lighting something, a candle. You're all sat down, roughly, at what you think is some sort of bench. Or maybe it's a table. There's a bit of a pause. You hear a door being locked from behind you. And then you finally hear a voice. The hoods are not removed, neither are the blindfolds, so you're technically in the dark still, but you can sense light in front of you through the cloth. The voice is hard to describe. It's rather cool, quiet. It could be a man, it could be a woman, you don't really know. There's a slight hint of an accent, but you're not entirely sure where the accent is from, other than that it doesn't sound like a Middenland or even a Reichland accent. My apologies for your condition, but one can't be too careful, can they?
You are certainly correct about that. You have nothing to worry about from us.
No, I don't. There's 2 men and a woman right behind you. Crossbows and blunderbusses ready. Outside that door are 10 more men. So, if things don't go well, I'm not going to boast that you can't kill us all, but you might have trouble getting out of these tunnels alive. So I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, we have no reason to cause trouble. We're here because we understand you can provide us with a service.
I can indeed. I've been told you want to pull a little stunt. That you wish to, or one of you wishes to impersonate a noble. Get the documents all signed and ready. Part of some investigation. I've been told you feel a presence near you, Kruger. I've been told that you're leading a little vendetta against some cultists. Rather entertaining, but that doesn't interest me. What does interest me is this little plan of yours. You then feel a presence near you, Siegfrieda. I believe I was told you're the one who'll be doing the impersonation, yes?
That's correct. It shouldn't require much in the way of voices or disguises or anything like that. I just need documents.
Don't we all? Now tell me, dear, why do you want to do this? I've been told it's part of this investigation, but that doesn't fly. No, there are easier ways to open doors than what you're doing. You want something else, don't you? What is it? Please don't lie. I honestly want to know.
For my own purposes, I want recognition. I have done the work of... I'm a skilled physician, but someone like myself, coming from a peasant background with a dark stain upon it, is unlikely to ever become recognized as a doctor. But with the name and title of a noble, that won't be a problem.
No. No, it won't. I think I like you, madam. Although I'd argue time normally helps in these things, but I understand we want to skip past that. I could work with that. You want to be a doctor, and you want to get past the paperwork with this scheme. I'm right, aren't I?
Well, yes, because I have next to no paperwork verifying who I am.
I'll come out with it plainly, but I may as well ask, as you feel this is addressed to all three of you. I don't suppose you have 100 gold crowns on you?
No, I don't think so. Even if we pooled our resources, I doubt it.
That's fine. We can come to a different arrangement, Siegfrieda. I have many properties. I have a lot of influence in this city. I don't own it all, yet. The other low kings have their little turfs, after all. But I do have a lot of sway. I have some properties. I have some buildings in the Nordtor district. One of them could be a very nice doctor's residence. When you become a doctor, that will be where you establish your, well, doctor house. There's nothing there right now, but I can have it furnished with the basics. There's a basement. When you become a doctor, sometimes some people are going to come to your basement. They're going to leave a box or two, and you're not going to ask any questions. And then they're going to sometimes take those boxes away, and you won't ask any questions. And sometimes some people will come, and they'll need treating, and you're not going to charge them. How's this sounding, Dr. Siegfrieda, so far? Unacceptable?
I can understand the risks. I understand that I will be, as they say, over a barrel. And what is my position supposed to be in this regard if, let's say, the guard discovers this activity in my basement? Am I supposed to plead ignorance? Am I supposed to claim knowledge, or that I'm being extorted? What is the protocol in such a...
You shouldn't have any problem with guards, unless you cause a problem. But, you're right, just in case. You can plead ignorance, or not. It won't really matter. Again, this might not be forever. I'm a fair person. I deal fairly. I don't want you to hate me or wish my death, after all. So as long as you keep up your end, I'll keep up mine for a time. Again, we'll even say if you can come up with the money with interest later on, then you're off the hook. And all I'll be doing in return is giving you this establishment and, again, the document, which won't be a problem. Does that sound agreeable, Dr. Siegfrieda?
Well, my mind is, of course, going through various scenarios right now. I don't think I anticipated spending the rest of my life in Middenheim. And I imagine this would lead to a parting of the ways between myself, Heinrich, and Kruger, because I doubt they would want to spend the rest of their lives in Middenheim. I think, while I had never really fancied myself as an actual noble, I probably did anticipate someday returning to Wittgendorf, either to allow a proper transition of power or to provide some medical care to the people there, and all of this sounds very much like a prison. And I don't do well with being trapped in places.
That's true. Granted, it might be a lie, but they seem to be suggesting that it wouldn't be forever.
No. I shake my head, but even with that, I say, I would accept this deal.
A wise woman. What about you, Kruger? You brought this opportunity to me. You used to work for me, apparently. Does it sound like a fair deal to you? I hope so.
It sounds very fair.
Well, I think we have an agreement. I'm going to get you your documents. You are going to run your little game. And all I ask in return is what I've said at the eventual establishment that as a doctor you'd be expected to get, and again, I'll take care of all that. When you go to the Physicians Guild to finalize all this, just simply say, when things come up about money, my man's on it. They'll understand. Any questions?
No. It's very clear.
Careful in the old quarter, by the way, in some of those areas. The influence we have there is not as pronounced. But here, well, deal fairly with me, and you will be dealt with fairly in return.
Understood.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Free, while we're here? I have a feeling this will be our first and last meeting, I'm afraid.
I don't know if you'd be able to hear the shifting of Heinrich in his leathers, but this is the part where he's thinking about mentioning the cults, but also does not do crime.
No, but this could be a unique opportunity. Up to you.
I think brash as he is, he would not move without at least half consulting Kruger, and it may not be appropriate at all given the circumstances, but I'll lean to the right just enough to be able to stage whisper through the bondage and say, Do we talk about the thing? The other thing?
I think we have taken up enough of the man's time. I say, knowing, of course, that yes, I would like to ask all kinds of questions, but last time I asked one of these criminals about, well, something that I want to know. I ended up owing a lot of money, and this person is not interested in my money. This person is going to be interested in a lot of favors, and we're going to end up in a position that will be quite vulnerable, most likely.
Well, feel free to roll an intuition check just in case. Give yourself a +10.
I just succeed.
Well, I mean, there's no harm in asking the question. This person doesn't seem to be giving off the air of being a brutal enforcer. They seem to be attempting, at least to you, to seem like a diplomatic individual. So you could always ask and simply see what happens. At least one question, maybe.
Well, then, perhaps one question, then, since you have so graciously offered your time. You know that we're looking to take down this cult, and they are no doubt creating issues here in the city that it might not be so good for business. If there's anything that you could say to aid us, point us in the right direction to, well, something that might help us take them down more efficiently, that would certainly be something we would be very thankful for.
Why do you think they're involved in the taxes?
This is Heinrich's pet theory, so I'm happy to chime in.
I nod to you if I get that feeling that you want to do that.
Well, there's nothing a cult loves more than a disorganized populace and a distracted guard. And from what I understand, the taxes have kept everybody quite on edge, to say nothing of where that money might be being shunted off to.
Not a bad observation. For different cults. This lot don't operate like that. They nestle in places of power and order. No, they don't simply want some taxes to create some disorder. Largely, as well, the tax probably won't go through. Unless they have a voice in the ear of the Graf himself. Which they could do. But no, it still wouldn't go down well. But if you're right, it's actually quite brilliant. Very clever. What if the whole point is it's not what we expect? Something I've learned. Always expect your opponent to do something unexpected if they're actually clever. The taxes aren't good for business, no. So if you did find out who was responsible, the man might be grateful. but that's all I can give you. Oh. One last thing. What was the name you wanted to impersonate again? Who do you want to be, Siegfrieda?
Marguerite Wittgenstein, Lady Marguerite Wittgenstein. I imagine there will already be documents in the city that confirm her existence. So whatever I have needs to match those.
Wittgenstein, really? That's very funny. I like that. That's funny. No, there aren't. That's a foreign noble family. Why would they have records of that in Middenheim? Don't worry, that actually works to your benefit. But that is very funny. I like that.
Why is it so amusing?
It's more funny if I don't share. Very well. Lady Marguerite von Wittgenstein. You'll have what you need in a few hours. My people will be taking you away now, and I'll let the man know. They're going to be very pleased.
Well, we're very happy to hear that. Thank you.
Well, enjoy the rest of the festival. Like I said, it's been a pleasure, but we won't be meeting again. And there's a click, and you feel yourselves being lifted out of your chairs again, and led back through a door, and then there's a lock, and then you seem to be marching back through tunnels once again. How are you feeling, Kruger? It seems you've been successful.
That certainly did go better than I had feared. We managed to not upset them, which is always a plus. And, well, seemingly we will be able to get the document that we need, and that will hopefully allow us to continue our investigations. So, yeah, this felt good.
What about you, Siegfrieda? It seems you're one step closer, and all you've had to do is sign up with the criminal underworld and agree to essentially be a safe house/surgery for criminals.
Yeah, that's not great. And I'm not feeling great. But I think it probably would be easier still to get what I'm after and help us with our investigations by doing this than trying to save up and take several years.
Had you been given a little bit of extra info? Maybe you'd already thought that, but now it's been confirmed. You'll be a foreign noble. They wouldn't have any records of you here in a place like this, so who's going to check on those records? It might be more tricky back in the Reichland, but much easier here.
Well, I will trust our criminal counterparts to forge something that is believable.
And before you know it, another hour or so have passed. It must now be like 3 or 4 o'clock. You've spent a long time down there, wherever you were, before you suddenly feel the blindfolds and hoods being lifted, and you see your friends and your dog Erica, who runs up to you very quickly. Siegfrieda she's clearly been missing you.
Oh, well, I will crouch down and give her a cuddle.
Oh, Kruger, you've been gone a while. Did you really meet them?
We met someone. I don't think that was the man. I don't think we're supposed to know, and that's fine. I think sometimes it's good to know as little as possible.
I know. Well, that's the thing. No one knows. Yeah, no one knows who the man is. That's why they're so mysterious.
Safer that way, for us all, I think.
And then out comes Alfric, laughing to himself. Well, I knew you'd be fine. I thought to myself, those three, they've got their heads on screwed correctly. It's the saying, isn't it? Heads on screwed correctly? I think it is. Yeah. Anyway, here you go, friends. Here we go. Here's your lovely little piece of paper. And he hands to you very quickly a very official-looking document, currently wrapped up and sealed. Siegfrieda.
Oh, well, thank you. I won't open it here, but I put it safely in my scroll case.
Well, pleasure doing business, sir. And again, if you've got anything more for me, I'm happy to buy. Or you can buy yourself, Kruger. I'm always happy to take your coin.
Yes, but I think we have what we need now. Thank you, and looking forward to, I guess, seeing you around.
He nods and goes back into the tavern, and your friend gives you one more look and says, like, oh, I can't believe you maybe met the man. Oh, that's still amazing. And so I hope, Sigfrida, Erica was good. I gave her some food. I gave her a nice sausage. Did she like sausage? She seemed to like it. I hope that was all right.
I'm sure it won't have any permanently bad effects. Thank you for looking after her.
No problem. Again, it was Bjorn. A pleasure. If you ever come down the Oswald district, I can guide you around. It's not so bad if you know the right people, who I kind of do, maybe. And so for you, Kruger, we have to have a drink sometime.
Yeah, we said we would do that. Let's see if we can get a chance to do that during the festival.
And he bids you farewell. And once again, the three of you are free. It's now maybe 2 or even 3 o'clock. We weren't expecting that to take so long, but it seems like you were being led on quite the merry chase in those tunnels. Even you, Heinrich, trying to think of what the route was, would find it very difficult to remember. It was far too complex. That was probably the point, you think to yourself.
No, they did an excellent job on that regard.
So, what do the three of you do? Time is ticking. But you have a little time before, well, the show at the Royal College of Music. But of course, you could just take a moment to take stock, look over those documents, and get ready. After all, you may want to do a little bit of scouting around the College of Music before you just go there. But it's your choice. What do you want to do?
Understanding that it is very inappropriate to open the illegal documents, Heinrich will gesture towards them nevertheless, and then giving Sigfrida a gentle elbow, say, does this mean I need to call you, is it Milady, Graphina, your Ducal Highness?
I will look at you, Heinrich.
I'm just not familiar with foreign customs, you know.
I think you can continue calling me Sigfrida. You know, I don't think it's really going to be too much of an issue that we stand on ceremony between friends. But in front of other people, a doctor would probably do.
Ah, well, you honor me with your familiarity, and Heinrich's going to be taking the piss out of this for quite some time.
Some of that goes over my head, and will do perpetually. As much as I am, of course, weighed down by the criminal obligations attached to all of this, I am also elated that what could have taken years has just been achieved in theory within a few hours of awkwardness. Yes, there will be the being extorted later and having criminal activities taking place in a property under my name and having to treat people for free, but I've been treating people for free regardless of how criminal or innocent they are for years. Now that's not an issue. It's just the idea of being under someone's thumb. So Heinrich's light jibes are probably going to roll, not only roll off me, but roll past me, so that I just give him a completely oblivious smile. Well, it's very kind of you to ask.
Indeed. Besides, Sigfrida, there's still 1 or 2 final obstacles. You still need to go to the Guild of Legalists and collect your inheritance, and go to the Physicians Guild to actually officially get your doctor license. But you think with this paper, if it does what it says it does, well, that all hopefully will fall into place, as long as you're careful.
Yes.
So, Kruger, what do you want to do next?
Well, I suppose it would be a good idea to have a look at that document later on, just to make sure that everything is in order. And then the idea of scouting out around this Royal College of Music, that might not be such a bad idea. Make sure that we know what to expect around there.
Would all 3 of you like to start making your way to the Nord Tor district?
Seems reasonable.
I'd like to have a quick read of what this document I've been given says.
Certainly. We can say on the way you pop into an alleyway just to quickly look.
Or even better, a drinking establishment. I don't want to get mugged.
Then as you make your way to the Nordtor district, you'll stop off somewhere in the commercial area.
I fancy some festival food. Would any of you care for a sausage or churro or something like that?
Oh, certainly. Best take the opportunity now that the festival is going.
It's quite easy to find such a place, and it only costs you 10 silvers between all three of you to get a very nice meal and have a seat somewhere right near a big statue and lots of soldiers walking past. And you'll look at your document, and it's not a very exciting document, Sick Reader, but it doesn't need to be. It identifies you as Lady Marguerite von Wittgenstein, with 2 witnesses, a high priest of Verena, and a lawyer of some name, and that itself is signed by another lawyer. You don't know who these people are, but they've all apparently identified you as Lady Marguerite von Wittgenstein.
Wonderful. When's it dated?
It is dated today.
Oh, okay.
So it's nice and officially brand new, almost. Which would make perfect sense. You want to keep these things up to date, after all.
Yes, I roll it up, put it in my case.
It honestly looks exactly the same as the other one. The seals look very fresh, and you're pretty sure, not that you'd know, but they look official and real.
How hard can it be to forge a seal anyway, I think to myself, as I tuck it away.
And then, finally, after a bit of food, as the late afternoon comes round, you find yourself in the Nordtor district. The Nordtor district is an interesting district. You are now very high up. You are practically at the top of the city. From here, you think you can even at some point see the roof of the palace, meaning you are indeed at the top of the city. Some of the buildings here look very grand. You're pretty sure there are some very fine houses of merchants, maybe even nobles here. But also some buildings look a little bit abandoned, and some of them look like warehouses. So there's a bit of a mismatch there. The Royal College of Music itself is a very impressive building, although it does look quite old, and some of the paint's peeling a little. It seems to largely be a circular shape, with a little tower at the end and some outbuildings. You assume the circular shape holds the stage area, while the outer buildings perhaps have the college itself. You are informed that it is a college for boards and musicians and students of art, but also, of course, a stage where shows are produced, especially during the festival seasons like right now. You will see on the outside, well, first of all, there's a lot of guards, watch, and also knights, fully armed on horseback, portraying the symbols that show them to be of the Knights Panther, which you believe is the knight order that primarily guards the Graf and the city. So there's a lot of security around here. There's also a lot of people, and you'll see advertised Kruger tonight's show, although you'll be disappointed when it doesn't have anything to do with fingers. It seems tonight, instead, it's the Barbarian of Vesil.
Can't say that I've heard of that one. Can't say that I've heard about any of them, really, so I suppose that's good.
Still, you've made good time. Apparently seating is in an hour or so. And if you ask, you are told by a lovely clerk, dressed very nicely, that there's still plenty of seats in the commons, which go from 10 silvers. And there might still be 1 or 2 seats in the upper areas, although those go 1 gold crown per seat.
I look to my companions. What do you think? I mean, what we're trying to do here is to locate this High Chancellor, right?
We're not trying to enjoy an opera.
No, and she's not bound to be in the common seats. Having one of the more expensive ones might... maybe.
Well, damn it, why not just ask one of the ushers? And where would the High Chancellor sit if she were in attendance?
I suppose we could do that.
I mean, it's the kind of thing a tourist might ask, and we are tourists. Well, some of us.
That's true. Would you like to do the honors?
Oh, my history with dealing with clerks and so on tends to... I think Heinrich should do it.
I agree. I nod.
Would you like to roll a gossip roll, Heinrich?
Absolutely. I mean, if you need a fawning sycophant, Heinrich, we established that at the very beginning of this adventure.
Please make a gossip roll, then. No modifiers.
Terrible news. That's a 65, which is not going to make it. I suppose, do you think it's worth spending a point to get this information?
Up to you, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. Alright, a 32, so that's under, but one level of success.
One level of success. You badger a few clerks, and one of them eventually does say, well, the High Chancellor, well, I mean, they do sometimes come here, it's true. They don't often stay after at the bar. Where would they? Well, obviously they'd probably be seated in the uppers. They might be in a box, but I don't think that's happening tonight. But yeah, I mean, they're the High Chancellor. They're not just going to sit with everyone else at the bottom, are they?
No, but the High Chancellor, she doesn't have a special box?
Well, she hasn't rented one. I mean, that's normally reserved for the real special people, like, like the Graf and the Court. High Chancellor's important, but, just the High Chancellor.
Oh, I apologize. Just, it's a big city life. There's so much to learn. And one other question, if you would.
Yes.
This seal, seal like aquatic creature, or seal like, oh, I have to seal this envelope.
Seal? Do you mean Vesseal?
And Heinrich is looking down at I assume there's a program or something, and realizing that he can't read.
No, you can't. But you thought it did sound like the seal, but is he adding a V?
V-seal.
Yes, sir, Visseal. Are you asking about tonight's performance?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's a Tillian, isn't it? I think Visseal is somewhere in Tillia, I think. I don't really know.
So nothing to do with... you know what? Never mind.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, it's all good, isn't it? Do you speak Tillian?
No, I barely speak Reichspiel.
Oh, you probably won't enjoy it much then. Neither can I. So.
Well, thank you so much for your help.
Oh, no worries, sir.
I will return to my comrades and say, V-seal, nothing to do with seals at all.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh, don't look at me like you both already knew that.
I honestly didn't care. What about the Chancellor?
Oh, right. So there's a very, of course, a special box for the big nobles. But this fine gentleman indicated she would be, in fact, in the uppers, but didn't have more information than that at hand.
Well, that gives us something, and now that there is a titled noble among us, maybe we'll be able to get up there if we want to get in. But again, I like I proposed before, I do wonder if it's simply a case of be around when she gets announced, so that we can identify her, and wait for her when she exits. I don't know. If you feel that there's merit to confronting her in this place, then it makes sense for us to attend on the same night that she does. Otherwise, we wait outside and plan the good old-fashioned jump on the covered wagon kind of thing.
I have to say, public confrontation of figures of authority really isn't our strong suit.
No, it isn't, and you'd have to be very careful. After all, you are looking around, and yeah, there's not only watch, but fully armed knights around here. So you think the choice is yours. You can pay, and you'll be in, or you can wait and watch, although that approach would mean you have no idea who's going in and going out, but bar just looks.
Well, what's to say we could get a ticket for the Commons? Are there so many? This is a question, I guess, on the larger level. Is this theater big enough such that we would not be able to see the uppers boxes from the Commons? Could we get floor seats, wait for the noble to be announced, get eyes on, and then just leave the general seating?
You think so? Unfortunately, you don't know what it looks like inside. You can see it from the outside. It's a big building, but it's not a gigantic building. If you were to guess, it's the sort of building that maybe seats hundreds, not thousands.
Oh, well, with that in mind, should one of us go inside and then the others wait?
That certainly could be one approach.
More eyes, more angles?
Well, which one of us can tolerate opera?
Well, you're the noble. It would make perfect sense, wouldn't it? I mean, it would all be part of building up your new persona.
Yes, you are right. Absolutely. I just can't say I've ever really had an ear for all the wailing and... I can deal with patients screaming and crying and begging for me to stop and all that, but opera is a different level of pain. But I will manage it for the sake of our objective.
Thank you so much for your sacrifice, Siegfrieda.
Well, I'm glad you appreciate it.
Give Siegfried a hearty clap on the back. Not about seals.
I'll keep that in mind. I would hate to go in and make myself look like an idiot.
So it sounds like the plan is for... Siegfrieda, are you going to get a common seat for 10 silvers or a gold crown to be in the uppers?
I do still have some gold crowns. The thing is, so just to clarify, do we know when this Chancellor is attending the opera?
No.
Well, I'll go to the ticket office at the front. Excuse me, sir. I know you're doing a wonderful job behind that desk.
Yes, hello, ma'am, how can I assist?
Lady von Wittgenstein.
Oh, my lady! My apologies, my lady, and he bows.
Apologies, apologies of my own. I am still wearing my travelling clothes. And
No, the fault is mine. The fault is clearly all mine. Please forgive me.
Oh, my dog has taken a liking to you. Haven't you, Erica? Look.
And the dog begins, barking happily, and the man looks a little concerned. Again, I apologise, ma'am. Maybe I can offer a discount for tonight.
Oh, no, don't be... Really, that is utterly unnecessary. I am feeling like I will probably need to rely on my dog to provide most of the charm, but I will continue. A friend of mine is attending the opera, and I just can't reach her. She's so busy about town. I was wondering what night is the Chancellor attending, because I need to book a seat as close as I can. Obviously, I know that I won't be able to bring my dog, but if you could assist me in that...
Well, we might be able to make an exception for you, of course, and your dog.
Well, but she is incredibly well trained. She will not bark during the opera, I guarantee you of that.
Yes, of course. Sorry, do you mean the High Chancellor?
That's the one.
Oh, of course. Let me
She's
see.
a dear friend.
Naturally, my lady. Let me just... he goes to sort of check some paper. I do believe... yes, they are... I'm afraid that I could get you maybe for 2 gold crowns. No, sorry, 1 gold crown for you. Seat 4 seats away, but I'm afraid the seats around them are taken.
Oh, well, no, I am sure that will be perfectly acceptable. To be true, sir, we just need to be close enough so that during the interval we can meet up, discuss the performance so far.
Of course, my lady. You don't need to explain. It is, again, 1 gold crown, and I will get on that right away. Again, apologies for not realising.
I suppose I don't need to explain, do I? I'm just not... Yes, I'm not used to it. Well, I tell you what, you've been so... incredibly helpful. So what's your name?
Oh, Gunther.
Gunther. I will remember your name, Gunther. I will keep it close to my heart.
My lady, thank you so much. That does me great honour.
So that if everything goes well, I will be sure to praise you to the theatre manager. And if anything goes badly, I will be sure to let the theatre manager know it was you that recommended these seats. And
yes,
here is your gold crown. Damn it, I cannot make it through. I look down at Erica. Oh, you are lovely. Erica really likes you.
He looks very worried at the dog and you, quivering slightly, and he gives you your ticket. And it's all sorted in a grand total of a minute. How strange, Siegfrieda. It seems all you had to do to get past these people was be a noble.
Yeah, what night is this performance then? Is it tonight?
Yes, in an hour, 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, you have truly been One of Ulrich's chosen.
Thank you, my lady. I assure you everything will go well for you tonight. I'll put some clerks on it. We'll make sure.
Oh, please, the fewer clerks around, probably the better. I will take my leave, and now quite concerned that I do not have the appropriate manner of dress for attending the opera in the upper seats.
I am happy for you to spend the money. The question is how much money? A basic nice gown is still going to be 2 or 3 gold crowns, and that's a merchant's gown, really. But that could still do. If you really want to go all out on town, it's going to be more 4 or 5 gold crowns.
I'm not going to have the time to get something tailor-made to fit, unfortunately, so I'm already counting the crowns that I've spent so far. I think 1 gold crown is sufficient. I don't really want to stand out, I just need to blend in.
You certainly, for 1 gold crown, won't. You won't appear a pauper, but you might appear more like someone's servant or clerk.
Well, that's fine. I'll reunite with my friends then. Tonight, then.
Oh, that went well, I hope?
I think it was Erica that did the hard work, isn't that right?
She wags her tail.
You're such a good dog.
She is, isn't she?
You didn't threaten to punch him.
Pardon?
It's the first time I've seen you interact with a clerk or a functionary, and it didn't. You know what? Nobility suits you.
Oh, well, thank you. I will take that as a compliment.
And as time ticks on and Siegfrieda manages to get her clothing, very quickly, mind you, the question is, what are you two going to do? Heinrich and Kruger, you're going to just wait outside. There's a few approaches. Obviously, waiting straight outside gets you the most view, but it's also directly in the view of several guards and knights. It is a large open area in front of the Royal College of Music. You can, of course, try to be more subtle and hide around an alleyway somewhere, but you do notice in this part of town the alleyways are actually quite big, and there's not as many of them, and they're all quite well lit. People are starting to light little lanterns that are attached to buildings, so you might not actually be able to see much if you truly are trying to be stealthy about it.
What about the rooftops?
Difficult. There are patrols and guards. If you are spotted on a rooftop, they are going to come for you hard. And it's going to be quite hard to get up on one as well. They're quite tall around here, some of these buildings, so you would definitely need to use your climbing gear. It'll be very tricky to do all that stealthily.
Well, then perhaps best to just try to blend in with the people. And I mean, there's a lot of people moving because of the festival. I'm sure they're not going to be able to keep track of everyone, and it's not like we're going to be doing anything particularly suspicious, really, aside from looking out for our prey.
Are you happy with this plan, Heinrich, to simply hang around with your friend Kruger and watch people?
I'm always happy to hang around with my friend Kruger, especially when the alternative is falling off a rooftop.
So, when we find her, what do we actually do? Should we just...
Well, that's the plan. That's the question, isn't it?
In point of fact, I believe our original intention was not to locate the High Chancellor necessarily, but to locate the High Chancellor's servant who was spending time in Alttown.
But if we have a bead on her now, at least we can see if we can get a hold of her here, get her separated from whatever posse she's, moving together with. She might even be by herself, maybe just 1 or 2 servants.
Oh, I imagine her servant will probably be here with her. If it's a prized manservant we're talking about. So the question is, how do we separate the servant from the lady? I feel it's something that we could probably... This is what we need to plan now. And we can't just go into this half-cocked like we have before. We need to think, how do you separate a noble from their servant out on the street? It will be my job to identify them, now that I know where they're sat, or where she's going to be sat. And then, once we're outside, I need to be able to point you at the person you need to grab. But grabbing them away from the lady, without her noticing... What kind of thing could we do to maybe lure the servant away?
Well, creating some kind of need the servant has to fill, right? For example, some urgent business, a disaster with a wardrobe, something that she would need to, the High Chancellor that is, would have to send her servant off to rectify.
Ah, that's a grand idea, Heinrich. If I take one of my scalpels in, I could create a small incision, and I look at you. I'm not planning on stabbing her. I could separate her stitches or something like that in her gown to create a scandalous malfunction of her gown, and her servant would have to dash off. And I imagine in that case I could probably do it during the performance, which means all you would have to look out for is someone who is leaving the opera house at a great deal of speed, probably quite red in the face. Not only then will they already be separated from the High Chancellor, but there'll be a reason for their absence.
If that seemed reasonable.
I think that's the best idea you ever had, Heinrich.
I think that's a compliment.
Well, we're both full of them today, aren't we?
It seems that a plan is afoot. A plan to cause some sort of mild disturbance, to get a servant to go somewhere while your friends grab them. Granted, Kruger, you need to really think about that, because there are several places here where if you grab someone, guards and knights are going to be barging down the door, so you'll have to wait. There's a few places, but again, it's going to be tricky. Very tricky. You'll have to be very quick, depending on your manner of interrogation, of course.
Yes. Is there any other idea that I can think of with my experience from these kinds of criminal activities?
It depends. What do you want to do to the servant? Do you want to intimidate them, beat them up, mug them, follow them? If you were to follow them, I mean, you could just keep following them, and eventually surely they'd go somewhere a bit quieter. The only problem there, of course, being that could take a while, and you'd be quite far away from, well, Siegfrieda, potentially.
I'm much more inclined to say that we would follow her. We wouldn't kidnap this person immediately outside the opera, right?
Indeed. And also, of course, that's assuming that's the route you want to go, because you might also go down the route of charm and cleverness and come up with some cunning trick or plan to convince the servant to come with you or give you some information another way. It all depends on your approach.
Perhaps if I buy another gown, you could be walking it through the street, as it were. Maybe that's a little far-fetched, but it would be what the servant's looking for. An alternative would be, these operas are infamously long. I could just wait for the servant to get up to use the privy, knock them out with a poison of some kind, and help my friend out because they're drunk. But that stands there's a lot of possibilities of that going wrong.
Also, the number of witnesses gives me hesitation. I don't know that we need to rough them up, per se, because what's the information we're trying to get? We want to know what they're doing in the alt quarter, right?
Yes, I believe that's the purpose.
Then, so we don't need to necessarily sequester them away. We could ask them outright, true. Odds are not good that they will leave the opera for the alt quarter and we could just follow them to whatever doorway they open. So I think we do have to engage with them kind of directly.
A lot of ifs and a lot of buts. You realise some of them you're not going to know, unfortunately, until things are underway. And time is ticking. You think the opera will be beginning soon, Siegfrieda. Are you going to go and start taking your seat now? Or wait a little?
I will... Well, if this is the best plan we've got, and again, I don't think it's a bad one. I think we've had far worse. I will pick up my gown for a gold crown. It probably looks quite misshapen on me. I do not have the figure for this kind of outfit. I'm all sort of bones and angles. But I'm happy enough in this for this purpose. And yeah, I will say to my friends, well, I will see you both on the other side. I will go for a night at the opera. Let's hope I survive it. And I'll take Erica with me, because apparently I have special dispensation being a noble. I look quite happy about that. Smug even.
And so, Siegfrieda, you enter the queue and begin to head into the Royal College of Music, while Heinrich and Kruger, you do your best to sort of place yourself a little while away by a stall, waiting to watch the crowds come. And indeed, as the bells of the college ring, it does seem as if the show is soon to begin.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this third part of the series, we are tackling Power Behind the Throne. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Aegersonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, and Graham Barey for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Inti Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real. Except, well, who's gonna believe you? Never mind.